Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I love when we talk with her because we get so much insight and she answers those questions that we all think about when it comes to psychics and spirit and the other side. And she's back with us. Not only is she a psychic medium, but she's also somebody who mentors and can teach you how to harness your psychic ability, which apparently we all have. And she is Danielle Anatra. Welcome back. How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me back.
Good to have you back. Yeah. It's it's interesting when we think about spirit, and everybody has a different definition of what spirit is, especially when it comes to psychic mediums. When you get messages, is your definition of spirit what we picture those on the other side sending those messages? Is it their energy sending the message? Is it you're getting those messages from things that are around you that connect to the other side?
Well, you know what? Our loved ones are always around us. They're always with us, but every now and then they like to throw those subtle signs, like they might if you notice a cardinal or you notice a butterfly or those normal spiritual symbols that, like, if you notice those things and your mind goes right to your loved one, it's not that they're coming back as a cardinal or coming back as a butterfly and it's actually them, but it's just them making their presence be known to you because maybe you need it in some way, shape, or form. You need that comfort of knowing that they're around you. You're asking for that sign, but you could actually ask for any sign outside the normal butterflies, ladybugs, like, out of that, like some people ask for like really, strange things like, chalk or chalk written down on concrete, or one person asked for spiders or ants. I wouldn't ask for that stuff, but some people, they ask for weird stuff like that, and because they really want to know without a doubt that that's their loved one with them. So I think it's really cool when people actually get those signs that they're looking for.
When you get signs from the other side, is it coming from their energy or are you getting it from another entity? By that, I mean, I've heard people, mediums say before that it's their spirit guides that are giving them that information, or it's, archangels that are providing that info, but it's basically being passed from the other side.
Yeah, well, you know what? Both things that you just said are true. We do get information from our spirit guides, and we do get information from archangels, our higher self. That's like our intuitions, our higher self. So we get information from all those places. But when you get a sign like that and your mind goes right to a loved one, that's usually your loved one's energy sending you that sign in some way.
I'm a firm believer in all of it. And I
Mhm.
know a lot of us like to kind of like push it off to the side. Yeah, it's a ladybug. They could show up anywhere. But
Yeah.
I believe in you ask for a sign. I don't ask for specific ones. I just said, give me
Mhm.
something. Give me something
Yeah.
that's gonna
Anything,
that's gonna
anything that
resonate
you'll know without a doubt that it's that
without a
person.
doubt. Yeah.
Right.
I don't want generalities.
Right.
But I think those on the other side, and I'm not even specific. I am gonna take that back. Sometimes I am specific to my mom, but when I get those signs, they're extremely specific. There is no doubt in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
And not just like, again, like a random, and nothing wrong with seeing a cardinal if it connects for you,
Oh,
but
yeah.
they're
No, and
more
they can come
specific.
to you in any form too. Like it can come to you in like a picture, not even like the
Mm,
actual bird.
mm.
It can come to you in a picture. It can come to you, any way you really the spirit needs to get it to you, they will. I've had some people ask us some crazy signs and they get them and they're like, I know without a doubt that this is,
Yeah.
who it's supposed to be. Um, and a big way that a lot of people who don't realize that, they're psychic in a lot of ways. We communicate with spirit in such really cool ways that it's so natural to us that we sometimes like kind of poo-poo the idea that, like, spirit's speaking to us because it's so natural. A lot of ways, a lot of signs that people will get from spirit, they'll smell something, and for us that's called clairvoyance. When you it's a clear smell from spirit. Like if grandpa liked to smoke cigars, you might smell
Mm,
that cigar smoke or that that cigarette smoke or something like that. You might smell grandma's apple pie. She's around a lot of times. The most common one that I get besides the cigarette and cigar smoke, um, the most common things that people will really be recognizing is when their loved one passes, like they have a certain scent to them, like whether it's their aftershave or how they like their cologne or just how they smell in general. People a lot of times smell their clothes or they have something of theirs that they'll smell, and eventually that smell runs out. And it's crazy because sometimes, even though they can't, that shirt didn't smell like them in years, once in a while you get like a clear smell of that person and it comes back for just like that split second. And it's really, really amazing. And that is spirit putting their scent out there so that you kind of have that. So I always tell people, if the scent is something that really, that you miss or that you used to smell, it will come back. Spirit will throw that back out to you, even when the smell is long gone and it's been years. It's
Ah,
really cool how they do that.
I love it. And I
Yeah.
believe it. For you, Danielle, what are some of the symbols you get from spirit? I'll give you an example. I heard a psychic once say, I'm getting, buttons being popped on a chest, on a
Mhm.
shirt. And that means that somebody is proud of somebody here. Do
Right.
you get symbols and things like that that you
I
have to
do.
interpret?
I do. Some people don't have symbol libraries. When I started getting trained, um, I was taught about a symbol library. So I always started with that.
Mm.
For me, I get certain things like if somebody was buried, it's weird. I see like a tree. I see a tree with like a bench and like it's overlooking water. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
that's what I see. And then if somebody was cremated, I almost see like the morgue, so to speak, and it looks like they're going into an MRI machine. Like
Okay.
that's kind of what I see for cremation. This is a funny one. The more you see like you watch other people work, other mediums work, I feel like that's such a good practice because you're
Huh.
never going to read like somebody else, but sometimes like they'll acknowledge their symbols. And one of my friends who does this work, she used to see this as a symbol, and now I kind of adopted it as mine. If she sees a cat in a window, it's either they're talking about your cat or that you have an apartment or you're single. Like you'll see like a cat in the window. Now I see a cat in the window every time someone either has an apartment or they're single. And like there's sometimes like two or three different meanings, but then with spirit you can kind of feel into which meaning it is.
That that
Um,
that is like random.
isn't that so funny?
It's almost like,
And
oh, she's single and a crazy cat lady. Okay, great.
I know, I'm like, what kind of frame of reference are we getting here? But
I don't know.
that's how she worked, and I practiced with her a lot. She was a very good friend of mine, and I practiced with her a lot, and now that's kind of like a symbol I adopted from her, and which was really funny. But yeah, there's so many things I see, like sometimes I see like a pearl necklace and the pearls fall off the strand. And for me, that means like things are falling apart, but someone's gonna pick up the pieces, like they're gonna be picked up very soon, or
Mm.
that like, that light at the end of the tunnel is coming for that. So like the pieces are gonna be picked up. There's all things I get a lot of my information through my clairvoyance, which is your clear sight. When you see for instance, if you see an apple, you might think, for me, like someone might be a teacher, so
Okay.
I might see an apple if someone's a teacher, but I might see a chalkboard if someone's more like administration. So, and on the other end of the school district. So, those are little symbols that you see, but a lot of people will see things in their mind or sometimes like, did you ever like have a conversation with somebody and all of a sudden you get like a thought in your mind or you get something in your head and you're so random, but then you start talking about it, but they're like, I needed to hear that today, or you needed to know, you just know that you have to, bring it up or you have to say it to them. So when I was growing up, I was always so random with my thoughts and my words, and I didn't realize it was spirit. So separating and knowing the difference between spirit and my own thoughts was like a really big game changer for me. Um, that's not like something I could just answer and tell you how to do that. It's something that it's practiced, and you have to kind of learn the difference and decipher, because clairaudience is your clear hearing, and you don't hear spirit in full sentences like people think. Like you might hear something and then feel the rest of the sentence and feel what they're saying through your feeling. But for clairaudience, you will normally get, it would be so easy if I could talk to spirit how I could talk to you, or I could hear
Hmm.
spirit how like you and I talk. But you might hear like a sound, or like a gunshot, or like waves crashing, or or something like that. You might hear those sounds, or you might hear like one, two, or even three words, but you're not going to hear like full blown paragraphs and sentences. It doesn't really work like that. But you could feel into the words that you're getting. So those are more ways that you can communicate. And sometimes we could hear a man's voice or a woman's voice, or something like that. But for me, you hear, and a lot of times spirit speaks to you in your own voice. And that was like the biggest game changer for me, because that's how I learned to be more conscious and kind of differentiate spirit from my guides or my higher self, or what I was being told. So always thought that was really cool.
So two things here. I'm realizing that you said that you worked with another psychic to hone your
I
skills.
worked with a lot of psychics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah.
Doing that is because you have to understand, like, you're never going to read like another person, because you're unique and different in what you do and how you do it. So you
Hmm.
always have to know. That's why it's important to know yourself, and that's why the inner work is really important when it comes to all of this. But when it comes to reading, you expand your frame of reference when you have the experience of practicing with people and reading people and honing in on your skills more. And then you get more of those symbols for your symbol library, and you get more things, and you're able to differentiate your feelings, that you're receiving better from spirit. But yeah, I used to go watch mediums work, train with people. And I love listening to people and how they work. And it's very funny because their strengths are always part of their background. Um, I don't know. No, so this one medium, I absolutely love him. Richard Scholler. He's in Huntington, New York, but he travels and he teaches and he does readings. And he was he's one of my favorites. He worked at a funeral home for about, he was a director there for like 21, 22 years, something like that. And the detail that he brings on how the person was laid to rest, the things that were in their coffin, the different ways that they
Mm.
passed, like the feelings of how the family reacted to things, and
Yep.
and things around like that funeral home process, like the fights in the family, like all of that. Like his detail on that is so meticulous and so detailed and like just beautiful. He's a wonderful reader, especially, but his strength is over there because that was his background,
It's
you
that's
know.
so interesting you say that because I know psychics that have a medical background. So it's
Yep.
the same kind of thing. Like they
Yeah.
when they
So
describe, something in the chest and, any
yeah,
psychic can say, "Oh yeah, it passed from, I felt something here." Okay, it's a heart
right.
attack and how many people have heart
Exactly.
attacks, but it's very specific in terms
Yeah.
of, the pulmonary portion of it or
It's funny,
right?
yeah, because I find that the medical people who are like doctors or nurses, or have some kind of medical background, or even worked in a doctor's office, or
Hmm.
people that aren't doctors but have been through and had a lot of surgeries, who could really get the details of certain things, are very medically in tuned when it comes to that. And that's the stuff that they're going to pick up on. If somebody lost a loved one in a car accident, they're going to be picking up like that on car accidents and things like that. So you're gonna be picking up on stuff. Like I have more of like an HR background,
Hmm.
and like a banking background and things. So I'm always around names and numbers. So I'm gonna pick up a lot on significant names or, birthdays, anniversaries, like specific dates, not always just the months, but the dates. Like I'm a numbers person when it comes to, stuff like that. So, that's kind of where I will gravitate towards. And you're going to see that you got a lot of experience in things that you've either seen or experienced yourself, so that's where a lot of your frame of reference and the people that are going to be drawn to you, that's how that works. Like people always say, like, if you have a bad experience with someone, it doesn't mean that they're a bad medium. They just might not have been a right energetic match for you.
Yep.
When they say you need someone who's a good energetic match for you, like someone could think I'm wonderful and love me so much as a person, but I might not be a good energetic match for them because something where their healing needs to be might not be something that's in my frame of reference. So maybe I can't express it as much as somebody else who's maybe, been through it, who allows themselves to feel that. And,
But it's also,
the
isn't it the person that you're reading, how open they are, and also who is on the other side and their personality as well. Isn't it like it has to be like a good synergy between
yes.
everybody?
Yeah, I feel like, for somebody coming to get read, it's in your best interest to be, open but skeptical at the same time. Like I think it's okay to be skeptical. I actually encourage you to be a little skeptical because you can believe in spirit, you can believe in mediums and psychics and all that stuff, but that doesn't mean that everyone's out there doing the right thing.
Hmm.
So it's important to be open, but at the same time, you know prove it, like that's what the medium's there for. And and sometimes, listen, I've had bad days, I've had bad readings before. It's just like anything. If you wake up and you can't kind of put your own issues aside and you're clouded in your mind, then you might have a bad day. So like you shouldn't judge someone like based off of like one like crappy experience that you
Sure.
have, because you just have to trust them to do the right thing too if they know that they're not in a good place. So
Absolutely.
it's something like that. But yeah, everyone's energy kind of has to make sense. But I started when I first started my business, I asked spirit to send me clients because I really wanted to work, I wanted to practice, and I really wanted to build my business. And I'm telling you, spirit sent me so many clients, but they were all people who didn't match my energy, or something, it just didn't vibe right. And I feel like I was getting more discouraged by the readings that I was giving. And I'm like, oh my God, am I in the right line of work? Why can't I do this? Like, and I started questioning a lot. And this was like 10 years ago. And now and then I realized that when you're manifesting this stuff, you have to be very specific.
Yeah.
So I asked spirit for clients that I could help, or I can guide to someone who can help. And I asked them all to come to me when they're in a place where they can, when they're ready to work and ready to do whatever they need to do, because you can't heal anybody. They have to heal themselves. And sometimes you just say the right thing or something where a light bulb goes off and they're like, they do a complete turnaround and they change their lives. I'm not doing that. They're choosing to do it, but they just had to hear it the way they did. So I don't want to waste anyone's time, and I don't want time is so important. So that's why I always ask for people that I can help or people that I can guide to someone who can. And ever since I started asking for that, I'm telling you, I've gotten like it's been an energetic match ever since.
What
Like,
you're saying is what I've always heard too when it comes to manifesting, that you need to be very specific. You want to meet somebody special in your life.
yeah.
Write it down, like a
Hmm.
full list. And it's not like you're being picky. It's just that's what
Yeah.
you want. Why
Yeah.
not? If that's it, it's like ordering something.
Yeah, I know.
You're going to say, I don't want to compare, the person of your dreams to a pizza. But if you put it out, you call a
Why
pizza
not?
place, you're going to be specific. Hey, listen, can I make, half meatball, the other half green pepper, extra cheese in all of it, and a certain type of crust? You'd
Uh,
be specific there to a point.
mhm.
Why wouldn't you
Right.
in other things? I want to ask
Right.
you, Danielle, you
Hmm.
personally, when it comes to your tuition, gut feeling, have
Hmm.
you, how does that guide you? In your everyday life. I'm not talking about doing readings or anything
Not
like
doing
that.
readings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you're making a decision. and you're feeling it. Have there been times where your head got in the way and you went this way when you realize,
Oh
I should have
yeah.
went that way?
Oh yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, sometimes it depends like where you're at. Usually after like being a little more seasoned with the work, I make like probably like 85% of my decisions that I make from are coming strictly from my heart. The other, like 15% of the time, it's usually when I can't get out of my own way. And if you feel like you're in a place of desperation in some way, or you're too involved in it and you can't separate yourself to really look at the bigger picture, that usually happens when there's like high times of stress or anxiety or something like that. And that's why it's fun for me to have psychic friends because I could just call them and be like, "What do you think?"
I
And
do
they
it.
do,
I do it all the time, Danielle. All
you
the time.
know,
I'll send a text and I have close psychic friends, and like
mhm,
you do, and you're in a,
mhm.
they know the situation. So if there's a new
Yeah.
development in the situation, it's like, all right, well, what are you getting? What are you feeling?
Yeah, everyone needs that a little bit sometimes, and everyone needs like that. And normally now, like I used to, like years ago, when I was still like questioning a lot of things, like my confidence and things like that with it,
Sure.
I would reach out a little more. But now it's like I find that when I ask somebody what they think, it's usually me just confirming what I already know,
Gotcha.
and that's usually what it is now. I don't really ask anybody for complete, like, what do I need to do? What do I do now? Like, I usually know what to do, but I just confirm,
I'm glad you
if
said
I'm
that.
feeling stressed.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you said that. And I mean, there's all the more reason to work with a psychic
Mhm.
medium. You and I blessed to know them.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm a firm believer in all the answers are in you. That
They
you have
are.
the answer. Sometimes this is
They
getting in
are.
the way, and you can't
Hmm.
vocalize it, or you can't pull out, or get away from the clouds that are around it. And then
Right.
somebody would be on the other side, not the other side, but the other side of the phone or Zoom, and confirm it for you. And then you're like, yeah. But I've had times too where I've been told that something was going to take place, and I'm like, there's no way. It
Yeah.
doesn't even make sense. I guess it could happen. And sure enough, and I'm even talking major stuff in the past year and change, and it was spot on from somebody who's a
Yeah.
psychic with ability, like you.
It's really cool, and it's so funny. But yeah, sometimes I just, I feel things and I'm like, no, I'm like, that doesn't make any logical sense. But you know what? It never freaking does. It never makes
Yeah,
any logical sense. And I learned to just like take the guidance that I have and that I get and go with it. And I feel like, we're human too. Like we're human. We make mistakes or we misunderstand, like even for our own guidance, we misunderstand. Sometimes we do something and then repercussions happen and we're like, oh my God, why did I do that? But then you realize later what the bigger picture was, because sometimes we just have such narrow vision, like we can, we miss the bigger picture sometimes.
right.
And sometimes we figure out a year later or 2 years later why we did that. And thank God that happened, because if that didn't happen, then this wouldn't have happened, or I wouldn't have met this person or that person. So, sometimes if I feel like I made a bad decision, I'm like, but I felt so guided to it. Why did that happen? But then I realize later on why it happened. So that's why you just have to trust that you made the right decision, even if it doesn't seem like it in that moment, or even, like soon after, it doesn't
For
seem
sure.
like that. You just know it's either every challenge we face is either a learning lesson, or something that, we need to experience, that we're here to do. So just trust the process. It's really important.
Here's the validation of what you just said. How many times have you had people you've read, clients, a year or two later come back to you and say, remember you said,
All the time. All the
yeah,
time. I
exactly.
get it. Every repeat customer I get, they always come back with something. Like you said a while ago, and I don't remember the readings, but they're like, you said a while ago, A, B, and C, and then, this
Hmm.
happened or that happened, or, whatever. And it's just like there was like some things, like even the best ones though, are when people, I'll be like, oh, like I'll ask them. I don't want to insult anyone either, but I'll be like, you having a baby? And they're like, no, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then they found out like a few weeks later that they're pregnant and they call me,
That happened to me. That
I
happened to
did.
me. Absolutely. And
That's
it
so
was
funny.
the psychic said, "You have something to tell me, don't you?" And I'm like, "Nah, I ain't got nothing." And I'm like, "Yes, you do." I'm like, "I don't, and I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do."
Yeah.
Week later,
Yep.
and to your point, you just bring it up, and then I think of things.
Hmm.
Um, my daughter wasn't really planned, and I
Hmm.
was walking into a Friendly's restaurant. Okay, around, I don't know. They're not all, they're in the Northeast, but think of
I'm
like a,
familiar.
yeah, just think of a IHOP. There you go. And or anything, Checkers. So I'm walking in and a psychic comes up to me and I knew her, met her, be honest with you, thought she was a little kooky.
Some of us are.
She said, "Yeah, oh, you're gonna have a girl. You're expecting a girl." I'm like, "No, I'm not." And we went on back and forth, and she was right.
Yep.
So, and I'm skeptical, like you said before, but then when that stuff is proven, or what you do, where you're very number oriented, where
Yeah.
you're very specific there. I
Mhm.
mean, how do you, when a psychic says to you a date of birth, oh, January 27th, and
Yeah.
it's somebody that's very important in your life, how do you punch
I
holes
don't
in that?
know.
I
I
I
don't know.
can't. I'm like, there you go, you got me.
Yeah.
We're I can't believe we're out of time. I
I
mean, I
know.
feel like we
It
just
went by
started
so
here.
fast. It
Uh,
always does.
so you are available for readings, and also if somebody wants to really polish their skills and
Yeah.
learn to bring out the ability that is in all of us, they can reach out to you for all of that, right?
Right, absolutely. You could reach out to me on my website, danielleanatra.com. It has, all of my events in the next like month. It has any kind of mentorship program that
Mm,
I have if you want to do multiple sessions instead of just one. It's like kind of like a cheaper plan.
sure.
So it's more affordable. So there's a mentorship program, there's private appointments, private readings, there's group classes. So I have a million things. And if you don't see something that you're interested in on the website, but you want to know more about some other kind of training, you could just reach out to me. And if I don't do what you're looking for, I chances are I know somebody who I can guide you to, who I trust. So,
I love what you said today that you rely on other psychics. And it's just
oh
like,
yeah,
I think it's so cool
oh
because
yeah,
if somebody's thinking that they have psychic ability, well, which we do are, but they're thinking that
yeah,
they can bring it out a little bit more, it's the same kind of thing. We're all
yeah.
helping each other.
Well, you know who's a good fit and who's not. And sometimes I'm like, I might love the person that's sitting in front of me, but what they're looking for, like if they want to do more meditations and healing type work, do I know how to do that stuff? Yeah, but there's somebody who like is more of an expert in that field that I can refer you to.
Yeah.
I only want to, that's why I always ask, either someone that I could help or I can guide to someone else who can help. Because and even though we know a little bit of a lot of stuff, that doesn't mean I can do everything,
Right.
or I'm qualified, like I should be teaching this or teaching that. I know what I can teach and I know where my heart is, so
Yeah.
that's what I do.
Spirit has all the answers, and so do we.
They do.
They do. Danielle, great talking with you.
You
And your
too.
website, please share.
Oh, yeah, danielleanatra.com.
So it's DANIELLEANATRA.com.
Yes.
Anatra.
Yep.
Awesome. Great talking with you and look forward
You too.
next time we get together, okay?
Yes, thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.